Good morning. This is Rashad Mitchell coming to you live from my YouTube channel as I continue my part series. The week that was college football history review, the 1978 college football season. This morning, I'll be talking about the overview of the college football season. The overview. We'll go over what took place during that season and obviously the games that were played in week one for September 2nd, September 9th, and that'll be it. And other things. As far as like the overview of college football, 1978. So let's get into it. 1978 college football season was the year of the goal line admonition, chicken soup comeback, and Woody's Punch Bowl. It was the goal line stand of all goal line stands, memorable because of the game's importance, the sharp quality of play, and the distinguished men running the sidelines. The matchup was top-ranked Penn State and second-ranked Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. Coach Joe Paterno versus Coach Bear Bryant. The teams knocked heads all night in a terrific defensive confrontation, with the biggest moment coming in the fourth quarter, when Alabama stopped not one, but two dives from the 1 yard line by Penn State backs. As Penn State came to the line of scrimmage for its fourth down play, Alabama linebacker Barry Cross shouted to Nittany Lions quarterback Chuck Fusina, "You better pass." When tailback Mike Gooman leaped for the end zone, Krause was the first to slam him back. Penn State had other fourth quarter chances, but Krause' stop became the signature play of a famous game. As the Crimson Tide held on to win 14-7 to take the AP national title, the fifth national crown won outright or shared during the Bryant era. Meanwhile, Southern California victory over Alabama in September and five other ranked opponents won the UPI final poll by 5 votes. The choice was the closest since 1966 when Notre Dame edged Michigan State by the same margin. USC 17-10 Rose Bowl win over Michigan was dominated by one play, a diving touchdown scored by Trojans tailback Charles White. That was proven via multiple television replays to have probably been a fumble recovered by Michigan short of the end zone. Notre Dame found defending its national title very difficult, but ended the season on a remarkable note because the setting was a frigid New Year's Day at the Cotton Bowl. Despite icy conditions and a small turnout that created almost a surreal atmosphere, Houston dominated early in building a 34-12 lead. But Notre Dame quarterback Joe Montana had already established a reputation for comebacks with some hot chicken soup forced down at halftime to warm up his chilled body. Montana led his greatest collegiate comeback. The Irish won 35-34. The Montana legend grew to proportions only a magnificent NFL career could expand upon. Bowl season had another incident that went down in history, but for all the wrong reasons. Even though 1978 Ohio State season began with the exciting arrival of freshman passing star Art Schlichter, it totally was overshadowed by a punch thrown by Coach Woody Hayes at the end of a heartbreaking loss in the Gator Bowl. Woody Hayes' uppercut punch was there for all America to see on ABC television. And not only did he land a hard shot on Clemson defender Charlie Bowman, but the blow was the last straw for the university, embarrassed by it all. Ohio State's pink slip ended Hayes' brilliant but often stormy coach career. At that point in history, Hayes was fourth all time in wins with 238, but was known as much for cantankerous behavior as for his teaching ability. Hayes' demise was sad. He was a tremendous coach who commanded incredible loyalty from his players. He was a gifted teacher who clearly cared about the young men who played at Ohio State. No matter the extent of negativity expressed by Hayes, the fan or writer making the accusation never could claim that Hayes was anything less than a great football coach. The 10-year war between Hayes and Michigan coach Bo Schembechler came to an abrupt end, with Schembechler clinching the upper hand at 5-4-1 when he beat Hayes and Columbus 14-3 to cap the regular season. The win over Ohio State gave the Wolverines a tie with Michigan State for first place in the Big Ten. They got the Rose Bowl nod over the ineligible Spartans, a team that beat Michigan 24-15 in October to launch a 7-game scan. With another controversial loss in Pasadena, the Wolverines unaccountably ended their season without a win in all of Schembechler's first 10 years as coach. Now, Penn State was led by quarterback Chuck Fusina, who finished second in the Heisman balloting to Oklahoma running back Billy Sims by the second closest margin to date, despite receiving 12 more first place votes. Penn State seemed headed to the Orange Bowl to face once beaten Nebraska until Missouri dispatched the Huskers on November the 18th. Alabama was next in line. They faced being closed out for the Sugar Bowl if an unheralded Georgia squad remained perfect in SEC play. Now, if Georgia had won its final game against Auburn, Alabama, the eventual national titleists, would have been stuck in the Bluebonnet Bowl with no chance of winning the crown, while the Nittany Lions would have headed to the Cotton Bowl to face Houston. The Bulldogs tied Auburn, passing up a top late 2-point conversion attempt. So Alabama ended up packing for the title game in New Orleans. Georgia's Wonder Dogs finished the half game out of first place in the SEC with young players picked to finish 8th in post-preseason prognostication. Pacific 10 made its debut with the addition of Arizona and Arizona State. Even with added competition, Arizona State beat the Trojans. Southern California won its 5th crown in 7 years. Jack the Throne Samoan Thompson of Washington State became the NCAA career passing leader with 7,571 yards, while UCLA linebacker Jerry Robinson became the first 3-time consistent All-America since SMU's Doak Walker in the 1940s. One player who nearly got undeserved credit was UCLA center Brent Boyd, who was to be named All Pac-10 at year ends, until it was pointed out that he missed the season with injuries. Nebraska finally beat Oklahoma after 6 straight losses, and it was the first win by Tom Osborne over Barry Switzer. What reward did Nebraska get as it was basking in the delight over its big win? The Huskers got a rematch with Oklahoma, which went on to victory in an Orange Bowl that smacked redundancy and lacked zing. Colorado's successful pursuit of former Oklahoma and then current New England Patriots coach Chuck Fairbanks earned a great deal of attention. The AFC East champion Patriots were miffed and first suspended Fairbanks for the playoffs, but reinstated him in time for an opening round loss to the Houston Oilers. Oklahoma State's hiring of Jimmy Johnson was much quieter. Fairbanks was at a bust at Colorado, while Jimmy Johnson later became a coach who defined a generation. Another former Oklahoma coach returns to the sidelines with disappointing results. Out of football for 15 years, Bud Wilkinson was named head coach of one of the NFL's most frequent losers, the St. Louis Cardinals. Wilkinson's comeback failed as the Cardinals began 0-8 before beating Oklahoma on October 29th. He was fired toward the end of the 1979 season with a 9-20 record. Southern football featured 2 record-breaking rushing performances as North Carolina State tailback Ted Brown became the all-time ACC rusher and finished 5th on the all-time list, passing Texas Earl Campbell. Eddie Lee Ivory of Georgia Tech set a new single-game rushing mark of 356 yards against Air Force in November. A record total of 34,251,606 spectators attended college football games for all of 643 four-year colleges. So that concludes a look at the overview of college football 1978. Now let's look at the milestones, some of the milestones that stood out. We're going to look at new rule was established that had missed field goals from outside 20-yard line, placed that kicking team scrimmage line with possession going to defend the team. Other rule changes define roughing the passer, intentional grounding, allowance of the free timeout to replace injured player, consideration of players being blocked until kick returner, regarding of eligibility of offensive players, push out of guys. Arizona State joined Pac-8 to form new Pac-10. Georgia Tech, after 14 years of independent status, became a member of ACC. Hawaii joined WAC. The Garden State Bowl, which would last 4 years, and Holiday Bowl was sanctioned. In March, 139 schools applied for membership in NCAA's newly designed Division I-A. National Football Foundation's College Football Hall of Fame opened in Kings Mills, Ohio. So look at the coach changes that took place for 1978. Air Force, Bill Parcells was the coach, out was Ben Martin. Boston College had Ed Klebeck out. Joe Yucata. California. Roger Theater was the incoming coach. Mike White was out. Clemson had Danny Ford and Charlie Pep was out. Danny Ford was the coach. Joe Kika was coach. Dartmouth. Jack Cothermel was out. Kansas State was Jim Dickey. Out was Ellis Rainsberger. Mississippi incoming was Steve Sloan as the coach. Ken Cooper was out. Warren Powers was in from Missouri. All on a free. North Carolina, Dick Crum was in, and Bill Dooley was out. Northwestern, Rick Venturi was in, John Pont was out. Princeton, Frank Navarro was in, Bob Casuio was out. Frank Navarro was in for Princeton job. Rice was Ray Alborn, and Homer Rice was out. Texas Tech, Rex Dockery was in, Steve Stone was out. Virginia Tech, Bill Dooley was in, Jimmy Sharp was out. Jim McAvitt was in, Wake Forest, and Chuck Mills was out. Jim Walden was in as coach at Washington State, and out was Warren Powers, and Wisconsin Dave McClain, and John Jordan was out. Here's the AP preseason poll for 1978. You had number 20 Iowa State, 19 North Carolina, 18 Clemson, 17 Florida State, 16 Texas A&M, 15 Kentucky, 14 Penn State, 13 Louisiana State, 12 UCLA, number 11 was Washington, number 10 was Nebraska, number 9 Southern California, number 8 Texas, number 7 Ohio State, 6 was Michigan, 5 was Notre Dame, 4 was Oklahoma, 3 Penn State, number 2 was Arkansas, and number 1 was Alabama. Let's get into it, man. College football, week 1, September 2nd, 1978. Number 3, Penn State beat Temple 10-7. Give underdog Temple Owls credit for working mildly for upset because maintaining 7-7 deadlock to his only turnover of the night at Veterans Stadium gave Nick Lyons a chance to kill last 5 minutes until kicker Mac Barr nailed 23-yard field goal to win it with 10 seconds to play. Penn State tailback Wicker Moore scooted 26 yards for touchdown, and Temple quarterback Brian Brummel hit wide receiver Zachary Dixon for tying 21-yard touchdown with 10:49 to go. The Owls repeat their 10 touchdown pass call from Lions 30-yard line, but Penn State defensive end Larry Drubin pounced on Brummel with a big 23-yard sack. Tailback Anthony Anderson fumbled at his 42-yard line on the next play. From there, the Lions moved in for Barr's kill. Temple punter Casey Murphy punted brilliantly for field position, including bombs of 64, 55, and 51 yards. Next, you had Alabama, the number 1 team in the country, beat number 10 Nebraska 20-3. After taking an early 3-0 lead on kicker Billy Todd's 48-yard field goal, Nebraska surrendered 99 yards drive that showcased Bama's backfield depth. Fullback Billy Jackson ran for 29 yards, and halfback Tony Nathan rushed for 36 yards on a drive that ended with a 4-yard touchdown pass to another running back, halfback Major Levy. Cornhuskers turnovers aided Crimson Tide and caused as interception by cornerback Don McNeil led to Nathan's 2-yard touchdown run. Linebacker Ricky Gilliland recovered fumble at Nebraska 3-yard line that prompted quarterback Jeff Rutledge's 3-yard scoring keeper. Alabama's swift defense held Huskers to only 110 yards rushing, with no ground yards gained at all in third quarter, while allowing only 4 Nebraska first downs in the first half. Now we get to the full slate of games of September 9th, 1971. I think this is officially week 1 for September 9th, 1978. Penn State beat Rutgers 26-10. Philadelphia Inquirer called them listed Lions as number 3. Penn State stumbled through its second dog win. Even the coach, Joe Paterno, saw handwriting on the wall. We have to get better, get good, or we have to stop talking. Lions kicker Matt Barr punched through 4 medium-range field goals. Quarterback Chuck Fusina had fired sideline past the wide receiver Scott Fritzke, who spun away for a 53-yard touchdown in the first quarter for 10-0 lead. Rutgers gained only 189 yards and didn't cross goal line until quarterback Evan Michaels' touchdown pass in the fourth quarter. Lions mustered long drive of 82 yards to tailback Matt Sue's 1 yard pass in the fourth quarter. Duke beat Georgia Tech 28-10 as Blue Devils lost starting quarterback Mike Dunn to jam thumb during practice, but it allowed backup quarterback Stanley Driscoll to throw 65 yards on a touchdown pass to wide receiver Derek Lewis in the first quarter. Driscoll set up another touchdown with 37 yards pass to Lewis in third quarter, added 46-yard touchdown run in fourth quarter. Duke displayed balance as 12-back Greg Rett rushed for 154 yards. Georgia Tech got rough introduction as a new member of ACC, but got 111 yards rushing from star tailback Eddie Lee Ivory. Sole Georgia Tech touchdown was thrilling 90-yard pass play from quarterback Ted Peoples to wide receiver Drew Hill in the fourth quarter. Northwestern and Illinois ended in a scoreless tie, 0-0. There was little to savor in this battle of Big Ten bottom league dwellers, which was played in intense heat. Illinois took 5 trips across Wildcats' 20-yard line, but lost 2 fumbles, missed 2 field goals, and failed on downs. Illinois tailback Vince Carter managed 170 yards rushing, while quarterback Rich Rice completed 8 for 13 for 109 yards. Northwestern had its best scoring bid in with missed field goal. It was led to quarterback Kevin Strasser's 137 yards passing. Illinois linebacker John Sullivan roamed for game-high 15 tackles. Next, Missouri beat number 5 Notre Dame by a score of 3-0. Tigers stunned defending champs with first shutout of Notre Dame since 1965. The Irish passed up field goals twice and 4th and 1 spots in Missouri territory. Now they converted. Notre Dame quarterback Joe Montana completed only 4 of 17 in the first half, losing fumble, throwing 2 interceptions. In the second half, Notre Dame was stopped twice on downs in the red zone. Lost fumble on Tigers' 25-yard line. Missouri halfback Earl Gant rushed for 102 yards and led drives to kicker Jeff Brockhouse 33-yard field goal. Colorado beat Oregon 24-7. Buffaloes dominated with defense that suffered 2 second-half touchdowns with interception posted shutout until the final 2 minutes. In the third quarter, Buffaloes linebacker Bill Rowe returned interception 48 yards to Oregon 9-yard line. Defensive tackle George Visger returned another interception 6 yards to Ducks 14-yard line as quarterback bumped 10-point lead to 24-0. Colorado also rushed for 256 yards with 3 backs scoring touchdowns. Oregon, meanwhile, marched 74 yards late in the game to 11-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Mike Kennedy to wide receiver Ken Page. The Ducks fullback Vince Williams rushed for game-high 105 yards. Next, Southern Methodist beat Texas Christian by a score of 45-14 in front of the largest home crowd, 41,112 since the 1950s. The Mustangs dominated from the start as defensive back D.K. Perry took the opening kickoff 94 yards to give SMU lead it would never relinquish. Despite sore arm from Dove hunting, SMU quarterback Mike Ford completed 17-26, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. Opportunistic ponies got touchdowns from tight end Elton Garrett, who made fumble touchdown recovery in end zone. Defensive end Jerry Kovar, who dashed 70 yards and interception with interception for the score. Horned Frogs quarterback Steve Bayuk threw 2 touchdown passes in the second quarter, but was picked off 3 times. Iowa State beat Rice 23-19. Cyclones tailback Dexter Green had 165 yards on 28 carries, tiptoed through raindrops for 3 touchdowns, but lowly Rice gave Iowa State fits. The Owls of Rice led 7-0 in the first quarter on first of 2 touchdown passes by accomplished quarterback Randy Hurdle. Owls still led 7-3 at halftime until Green marked off his first spot in end zone. Rice fullback Earl Cooper made like jackknife for third quarter touchdown and 13-10 edge. Wide receiver David Hauser nabbed Hurdle's second scoring throw in the fourth quarter for 19-10 until Green did his thing twice again. And finally, UCLA, the number 12 team in the country, beat number 11 Washington 10-7. Number 12 UCLA beat number 11 Washington 10-7. New look Pac-10 made his debut with rainy, low-scoring matchup in Northwest as Bruins scored touchdown on block punt by safety Kenny Easley, who had 2 interceptions, covered in his own by cornerback Brian Baggett. Washington scored on quarterback Tom Forrest. 6-yard pass to tight end Scott Greenwood. At the Huskies linebacker Bruce Harrell snatched fumble by halfback James Owens. UCLA kicker Peter Bauer Meister made winning 37-yard field goal, also set up by a turnover. As Bruins defensive back Johnny Lynn had fumble recovery on UCLA 41-yard line. UCLA maintained a 10-7 halftime lead as the defense allowed no penetration past its 44-yard line in the second half. So that concludes a look at the week that was college football history in review, 1978 college football season, the overview of the 1978 college football season, also the games that were played September 2nd, 1978, and also the officially week 1, the games that were played on September 9th, 1978. So let's get into the AP poll as of September 11th. Maryland was number 20, 19 was Iowa State, 18 was Washington, 17 was Kentucky, 16 Florida State, 15 Notre Dame, 14 Pittsburgh, 13 Louisiana State, 12 was Nebraska, number 11 was Missouri, number 10 was Texas A&M, 9 was UCLA, number 8 was Southern California, 7 Texas, 6 Ohio State, 5 Penn State, 4 Michigan, 3 was Oklahoma, 2 was Arkansas, and number 1 was Alabama. So that concludes a look at the week that was college football history review, the 1978 college football season for week 1. The new video with this magnitude tomorrow. Until then, like, subscribe, and comment on the channel. Until then, talk to you soon.